Thank you for joining us because we are going to tell you the truth and give you the facts because we want you to be better informed to help make this a better United States of America. What's happening now, folks, as part of the whole transition process is that Donald Trump's pick for CIA director, Defense Secretary, and HUD Secretary have those hearings going on right now as we speak on the road to a better America.
A better America.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people.
Herman Cain's connected, unfiltered perspective every day.
Conservative Congressman Mike Pompeo faces senators amid a testy standoff between Trump and the spy community. We heard a little bit about that yesterday. And lawmakers are expected to broadly approve retired Marine General James Mad Dog Mathis for defense head.
Mattis is one of the most qualified, one of the toughest guys out there.
And that was Senator Jim Inhofe of the Senate Armed Services Committee. And former GOP presidential candidate Ben Carson will have to show the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee that a retired neurosurgeon is qualified to lead the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Allow me to provide my editorial comment about Ben Carson. He thinks outside the box, which is exactly what we need in order to do some impactful things in some of our urban areas. And I don't anticipate him running into any problems getting his confirmation. So that the Democrats are engaged in political theater because they want to send a message to their supporters that they're not going to go down without a fight. And the point that I made earlier this morning on the Fox News program is that when it comes to Representative Jeff Sessions, actions speak louder than accusations. And Representative John Lewis, Senator Cory Booker, they made some statements that made the news that were accusations, not actions. Representative John Lewis was testifying against Jeff Sessions as Attorney General.
It doesn't matter how Senator Sessions may smile, how friendly he may be, how he may speak to you. But we need someone who's going to stand up, and speak out.
Many people happen to believe that Senator Sessions will stand up, and speak out. All you have to do is look at some of his actions and accomplishments. Representative Lewis goes on to warn that Sessions could move the country backward if confirmed.
There are forces that want to take us back to another place. We don't want to go back.
And Senator Sessions is not one of those that want to move us backwards. Senator Sessions convicted a KKK member, who had something to do with the murder of a black man. Senator Sessions led the fight for desegregating the schools in Alabama. What more proof in terms of actions do you need? As I said, this is all political theater for them. And Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey took the unprecedented step of testifying against designate Jeff Sessions because he doesn't believe that Senator Sessions has always pushed for equal rights for everybody.
Senator Sessions has not demonstrated a commitment to a central requisite of the job, to aggressively pursue the congressional mandate of civil rights equal rights and justice for all of our citizens.
Based upon what? What's the proof? Where's the evidence? There is none. Senator Booker goes on to say that the senator's history shows he is not a champion of minorities and others.
If confirmed, Senator Sessions will be required to pursue justice for women, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend the equal rights of gay and lesbian and transgender Americans, but his record indicates that he won't.
That's just simply malarkey, folks. That's hogwash. Yesterday or the day before, when Senator Sessions was being interviewed by a Senate committee, he made it real clear. As Attorney General, his job is to enforce the laws of the land. And if you look at his record, that's what he has done consistently. Senator Booker goes on to say that Senator Sessions is the wrong man for the job.
The next Attorney General must bring hope and healing to this country. And this demands a more courageous empathy than Senator Sessions' record demonstrates.
Well, just last year, Senator Cory Booker had a different tone about Senator Sessions on a civil rights measure.
And so this is truly one of my life's greatest moments. I am humbled to be able to participate here in paying tribute to some of the extraordinary Americans whose footsteps paved the way for me and my generation. I feel blessed and honored to have partnered with Senator Sessions in being the Senate sponsors of this important award.
He feels blessed and honored to have partnered with Senator Sessions in being the Senate sponsors in this important award. Why the change of heart? Well, I believe that I have the right to do my share of speculation. And my speculation is quite simply, Cory Booker took the unprecedented move of testifying against a colleague because he's auditioning to run for president of the United States of America. That's just my take. And the other thing about Senator Booker, John Lewis, where were the white people to call Senator Sessions a racist or to say that he wouldn't enforce those laws? As I said, folks, actions speak louder than accusations. Another one that's being confirmed who was on the quote-unquote hot seat yesterday, Rex Tillerson for Secretary of State. One of the things that impressed me the most was when he said that radical Islam is a threat to America and the world.
It is with good reason that our fellow citizens have a growing concern about radical Islam and the murderous acts committed in its name against Americans and our friends. Radical Islam poses a grave risk to the stability of nations and the well-being of their citizens.
And he goes on to say that extremists are using Islam to justify violence.
Radical Islam is not a new ideology, but it is hateful, deadly, and an illegitimate expression of the Islamic faith.
And he goes on to say that Muslims who oppose violence can help defeat radical Islam.
If confirmed, I will ensure the State Department does its part in supporting Muslims around the world who reject radical Islam in all its forms.
And I think that that is encouraging. So that one continues. Sessions continues. Now, they can't be officially confirmed, folks, until after January the 20th. So what the Senate is doing and what the House is doing is trying to get ahead of the game so they can be confirmed as soon as possible. Now, there was one little bit of controversy that came up that made some Democrats mad. What else is new? They got mad because retired General James, nicknamed Mad Dog Mathis, abruptly canceled his appearance before the House Armed Services Committee slated for today. Think about this. The priority is to testify before the Senate. So he decided not to go and testify in the House because the ones that are going to vote on him being confirmed are the senators. He has indicated that he will circle back around and go and meet with that committee. But they are mad because he didn't make them the priority. How about the priority ought to be testifying before the Senate committee, since that's the one ultimately that's going to have to do the confirmation. 877-310-2100. Seward from Georgia, you're on the Herman Cain Show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mr. Cain, how you doing? Nice to talk to you again.
Thank you.
Hey, so my question for you, or could you elaborate? What's your position on Cory Booker taking a stunt like that after a year prior saying this was the best feeling in his life? I'm sorry, let me accurately, please. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to put false things. He said.
Yep. I know the one you're talking about. In fact, we played the praise that he put upon Sessions earlier, and now he wants to testify against him. Here's what I think it is about. I think Cory Booker has aspirations to run for president because, number one, he knows that the Democrat bench is really, really, really thin right now. He is articulate. He is a United States Senator. And so it was an opportunity for him to really get in the limelight. Just asking normal questions wouldn't have given him this opportunity. And that's why he said, I know it's unprecedented. Well, that means that the media's ears are going to perk up. And so I happen to believe it was all to get a little bit more visibility during this whole process for future reference. That's what I think it was all about. You're listening to the Herman Cain Show.
Herman Cain.
Always gives me insights to what I don't already think about or know.
Solutions for a better America.
No questions, no comments yet. Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. A little break in the action. See, you all that are watching, you don't have to listen to the commercials. A little benefit of watching live on stream. And we're going to do our usual guiding principles to success at the bottom of the hour. How's your signal today? Okay. Good, 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 good. I also want to mention to those of you that are watching the live stream, remember, if you can't watch the live stream and you're not near radio, you can still listen to the radio show on your cell phone. We have live because we have a link at the top of the page of hermancain.com that will give you that option. So if you go to hermancain.com, that's where it can start depending upon what your convenience is. Whether you can watch it, whether you can listen to it, listen to the whole show, or listen to special segments. So you have all of those digital opportunities that we have prepared, and we're very proud of them, quite frankly. And we're more proud of them when they work. Every once in a while, they don't work. But right now, they're working. So you've got every option in the world in terms of staying in tune with the Herman Cain Show. And I mention that because we've already seen just from this one Donald Trump press conference how contentious it's going to get. We've also seen from this one press conference how easy it is for some of these agencies that are supposed to be reputable to, number one, put out information that may not be totally accurate. And then that causes the media to go into a frenzy, chasing it rather than verifying it. And the other thing that we've noticed is that in addition to some of the information being questionable,
30 seconds.
They're not focusing on exactly those things that they ought to be focusing on. Let's talk about Supreme Court nominees. Let's talk about people being confirmed. Instead, they want to talk about the Russian connection and dirt on Trump. Back in 30 seconds.
Anytime.
Welcome back to the Herman Cain Show. Thanks for joining us on the radio or on YouTube or on your cell phone, whatever's most convenient for you. Coming up in the next segment, guiding principles to success. We're going to touch on a topic that I think is an appropriate one. Gracefully leaving a top position. I know that we normally don't talk about that relative to politics, but it applies equally to politics as it does to the business world. So we're going to address that because you reach those fork in the roads where sometimes you need to move on. There's a graceful way to do it. Connie from Georgia, you're on the Herman Cain Show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Herman, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you for standing up and doing what you do.
Thank you.
I also wanted to ask you, I know you just went over John Lewis's statements at the Sessions hearings yesterday, and what I really, really want to know is where was John Lewis when Lester Maddox, a Democrat, became the governor of Georgia? And if you want to look up racist bigot, his picture's right up there at the top.
Wow. I think Lester Maddox preceded John Lewis's activism by a few years. I don't know that for a fact, so that might be where he was. And John Lewis, I respect his activist history. I respect that he cares and continues to push the cause of justice for all. I respect the fact that he worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during those very tough days. But the issue that I have with John Lewis sometimes is that he's still living in the 1960s. He is reluctant at times to accept the progress we've made without trying to drag us back. He even said that in one of the clips that we played. So I respect him, but there are times when he, with his voice, because of his activism, activist credentials sometimes has people thinking more negative than positive. Look, I understand our history, but don't let our history be our complete guide. You're listening to the Herman Cain Show. GPS coming up. Carson on the hot seat.
Hey, Herman?
Yes.
Okay, so if we start off with good leaders stepping down and how to brag about their accomplishments,
Yeah.
then I've got both callers. I got a hold of both John and Mike.
Okay.
And then if we have time or if we're kind of coming up short, this Brad clip is old, but it's really, really good.
Okay.
So it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So once you wrap it up with Mike, I'll be watching the clock. So I'll either know if Shane's going to have time to play it.
It's kind of inspiring, right?
Yeah, it's really good. And it starts off, like I can say, oh, and then Brad's called with a comment. And the clip literally starts with you saying, hi, Brad, you've got a minute on GPS or whatever.
I definitely want to use it. That'd be a good, uplifting, inspiring way to end the segment.
Okay, so it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So I'll kind of,
Okay.
going long, I'll rush you through John and Mike.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
So I will make some comments about leaving a job gracefully. Then you got John, you said, on. Oh, and you got Michael also?
Yeah, both of them, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
So is Mike up on line 1?
Yes, and John's on line 10.
Gotcha. Okay. Good.
Yeah, we should have enough time for Brad.
Yeah, I definitely want to use that.
I'll segue right into Brad.
Okay.
And Shane will be able to talk in your ear if you have time to come back or if not.
Okay. Very good. But I'm going to let you set it up by throwing the proposition out there about, gracefully leaving a job.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll let you set it up.
All right.
And I'll go, oh, you're talking about me? You know you're invited to the party next week, right? Oh, okay. Zip. 15 are watching now. It's rolling. Oh, did we? Is it on here? I don't have it yet. What's the comment? I wonder why is it not showing? Oh. Okay. You can just tell me. Woody? Libby, thanks, Libby. You're right. Libby reminded us, folks, that Cory Booker likes to quote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and so do I. And Libby reminded us that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was the one who said, we may have all come here on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. This is what I mean about let's move forward. We know we got here on different boats, different ships, but we in the same boat now. It's called Let's Make This a Better America. Thanks, Libby. Very good comment. Very good comment to sum up what I was also referring to when I was talking about John Lewis. I respect him, but let's make this a better United States of America. That's my point. Good point. on the live chat. Okay. I just had it up too far. Thanks for your comment, Libby. Very appropriate. Very appropriate. And it reminds me of something else, Libby. It was also Dr. King that said, judge a man by the content of his character, not the color of his skin. And when I was watching clips this morning on the news about the criticism of Jeff Sessions, all of the criticism came from black members of Congress. Even though Senator Sessions had some black people testify on his behalf. Yeah, people play the color game, but it's supposed to be about the content of the character, not the color of the skin, not the southern accent. A lot of people have an accent. And not your middle name. I even saw one report today that tried to make a big deal out of Senator Sessions' middle name, Beauregard. So what? Basically trying to make an insinuation about his connection to the Civil War because of a name like Beauregard. That's just all noise, folks. It's just all noise intended to confuse people and is intended to discourage people. But fortunately, not many folk are falling for it. Oh, and don't forget, make sure you go to hermancain.com and take a look at, let me find it first, the article that I wrote about the Talladega College Marching Band. They're trying to go to the inaugural parade. Not trying, they are going to be going to the inaugural parade, but they needed our support. And thank you for those of you that have already supported and you've already contributed on that GoFund page. And if you go down to the bottom of the article that I wrote about them, that we have a link there where you can also contribute to their GoFundMe page, because they got a lot of negative feedback from some of their alumni wanting them not to even go. Why? Because they don't like Donald Trump. Why is it that some people are still hanging on to their disdain, their dislike, and their disappointment that Donald Trump has become president?
30 seconds.
It is simply because they can't let go of the denial and they can't let go of the anger. I suppose that 30-second warning was you were talking to me.
That was for you.
I suppose that was your way of telling me to wrap it up because we got to get started again.
That was my way of saying, shut up.
It wasn't so subtle. Oh.
Herman Cain's vast experience can help you achieve your own personal success. This is your GPS, Guiding Principles of Success.
Thank you for joining us for our weekly edition of Guiding Principles to Success, where we take this opportunity on the show each week to discuss some topics that aren't necessarily political in nature, government in nature, or things of that sort. And so today, Ashley came up with a very good idea of a topic that we might be able to provide some insight on. Hello, Ashley.
Hello. So this idea is based off something political, sure, but since this segment is all about kind of self-help and self-motivation, with Obama giving his farewell speech and kind of bragging on his accomplishments and what he's done in the last 8 years, well, his so-called self-claimed accomplishments. But anyways,
Yes.
So that got me to thinking, you have executive leadership experience, having been CEO and held other titles like that. I wanted you to kind of reflect on what are ways that good leaders step down and they can positively reflect back on their accomplishments and their time with the company and substantiate those accomplishments rather than sounding like they're bragging.
Very good topic. The first thought that comes to my mind, reflecting on all of the different positions and jobs that I've had, is that in my case, I had done a good job, a noticeably significant job, and I was being promoted out of that position rather than just simply stepping down. And in those particular cases, one, the accomplishments were measurable and noticeable, and that made everybody in the organization feel good and proud. Secondly, if there were some unfinished business, make sure that someone had the assignment to complete that business such that you didn't leave things dangling. So I would say, number one, I would depart a position at a time when you had made a significant accomplishment. Let me give you an example. When I was asked to become vice president of corporate systems and services, that was the technical name, at Pillsbury. It was really like the corporate IT director, corporate IT VP, but also had some other responsibilities. Well, I took over a project that was behind schedule and over budget. And the project finished, which was overseeing the construction of a new world headquarters building, moving people from 9 locations, and basically going to the board of directors and getting approval to buy a new computer system and all of it. It was a whole plate full of stuff. But we were able to finish that project ahead of schedule and below budget. And that was quite an accomplishment. It wasn't that I knew that much about that sort of work, but I knew a lot about how to work with people, how to cut through the clutter, how to ask the right questions. And if you ask the right questions, things move faster. Empower people to let them do what it is that they do best in their respective areas. And as a result, we were able to cut some costs without cheapening down the product that we were trying to produce. So at that point, it was an appropriate time for me to move on. And that's when I made a career change to go and work for Burger King, because I still aspired to move higher in an organization and maybe one day become president of one of Pillsbury's entities. And so I would say that when you've made a significant measurable accomplishment that everybody in the organization recognizes, then that's a graceful way to leave. Never leave an organization that might be in turmoil, not unless it's an elected position and you have to leave. Don't leave an organization in turmoil necessarily, if you can help it.
And when you leave, you don't necessarily feel that you have to justify the position that you just finished holding, right?
Correct. You're right. You don't have to justify it. I mean, that was back in the good old days, probably before I was born. A lot of people working in business and industry, their dream job was to get a job, work 35 years, same company, get a gold watch, and retire. Well, things have changed. Now people's careers can involve a lot of different moves and zigs and zags in their career. So you don't feel, you shouldn't feel like you have to justify wanting to move on. But one principle that I always encourage my kids to remember: never leave a job until you have another job.
That's the truth.
Not a good idea. I mean, people who say, well, I'm leaving this job because I'm not happy, I'm going to go out and find my dream job. Hello? You ought to find that dream job before you walk away from one that might be paying the bills. So I would say that those are some of the general guidelines.
That's great. And I mean, this sounds kind of ignorant of me to ask, but has the president always given a farewell speech, or is that a new thing to Obama?
No, they always have.
Oh,
but here's a little factoid. Obama's farewell speech was longer than Clinton, Bush, and Reagan combined.
I heard that statistic. Wow.
Now, the thing about it is, and I mentioned this yesterday, not to go back to politics, he has always loved to describe the country and the world as he thinks it ought to be rather than the way it is. I think that, to me, summarizes that farewell speech that he gave the other day.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, we do have calls. Folks can call anytime, really. 877-310-2100, and I'll always take their name and number to have them back on this segment. That's what I did with John. He has achieved something really big and has a question for you.
Hello, John, and what's your question?
Hi, Herman. Thank you for everything you do, sir.
Thank you.
Well, back in 1980, I was very fortunate to graduate from high school
Right.
with a very low C average. Went through life, joined the Navy, got out, did some jobs, and a few years back I was faced with a job loss, and although I had all these years of experience,
Right.
I didn't have a piece of paper with a degree.
Wow. Yes.
So after being out of high school for 32 years, I went back to college, or actually I went to college for the first time.
Right.
And December 16th, I actually graduated from the University of Central Florida with a 3.54 GPA.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And what was it in?
Now,
What area?
I have a major in legal studies and a minor in criminal justice.
Very good. Congratulations, John. Now, let me just interject. That's what I call persistence, okay? And what immediately occurs to me, I don't know what your status is right now, is that you bring two very important, you bring is maturity. I think that is great. Go ahead, John.
Well, thank you. That was actually answering the question I had, was because in a lot of job searches in the past, someone going in, now I'm 54 years old. I'm not old by any real standard, but
Right.
by some standards, they're saying, hey, if I want somebody for the long term, how many more years is he going to want to work?
Right.
How can I overcome that stigma?
Well, the way you overcome that stigma is in the course of the interview, you sort of have to direct it based upon some of the questions they ask. You bring, and I would highlight the experiences that you've had and underscore the fact that what those experiences have done, they broaden your ability to creatively solve problems. That's the way I would present it. Secondly, your maturity. You're not a young whippersnapper that's going to, not show up for work and things of this nature. You have great habits. And then here's the third quality, based upon what you told me, that I would also emphasize: your flexibility. If there's anything that you've learned throughout your experiences and your education, it's flexibility, John. Those are three great selling points if I were you and I was in front of someone looking for a job.
Perfect.
Actually, that wasn't too bad, was it?
No, great advice, and a big congratulations to John. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely,
that is a good
John.
accomplishment.
Congratulations.
So it can happen. You have to balance finances and family,
Yes.
but it can happen. All right, up next is Mike, and Mike and I talked a long time about his idea of social enterprise, and he was going to kind of share that whole concept with you.
Hello, Mike. What do you mean by social enterprise?
Well, social enterprise is the concept of a nonprofit running a for-profit business. And social entrepreneurism, is a way of a business leader that does retire, leaves a position to give back to the community while continuing to earn income for themselves.
Right.
And didn't know if you had heard that, and it's just of the concept. A lot of people aren't aware of social enterprise and social entrepreneurism. And about 17 years ago, I worked and started a nonprofit that used social enterprise as a way to kind of make a nonprofit self-sustaining. Most nonprofits are very reliant on traditional fundraising methods, grants,
yes,
selling cookies, etc. And I saw a lot of small to mid-sized nonprofits would become negatively impacted, in some cases could go completely out of business when they would lose funding to some type of national or international tragedy. And unfortunately, we have no shortage of those types of things. So one minute you'll have a nonprofit that's doing great. The next minute they've lost their funding to, a Katrina victim or this or that or the other, not to diminish the other things, but but those types of funds get redirected.
Here's my reaction. I see what you're saying. I had not heard that formal phrase, social enterprise or social entrepreneurship, but I get it. But here would be my advice to someone pursuing that sort of venture. First, make the for profit piece as successful as you can first before you focus on the not for profit piece. And here's why: not for profit organizations, not for profit initiatives can eat up a lot of time and burn a lot of resources. So I understand the concept and I think it's a great concept, but make the for profit piece as successful as you possibly can while you are developing your ideas, but maybe not implementing it on the not for profit side. Because as you indicated, ultimately, you want the for profit side to be able to sustain the not for profit side. So you don't have to spend all of your time running around trying to raise money. Good job, Mike. You're listening to the Herman Cain Show GPS segment.
His life experience helps you. He's been a CEO, a presidential frontrunner, a rocket scientist. Seriously, he was a rocket scientist. Herman Cain brings solutions to you on the radio every day.
Da 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 da. And that's what we call GPS, folks. That was good, Ashley. Shandy B, can Ashley hear me?
Hello.
That was very good.
That was good. So we'll do Brad next week.
Okay.
But that was I'm glad you spent that time with those guys.
Yeah, I saw that we were running out of time, so we can always use the Brad story.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Great idea. See, whenever we do these segments, you think of stuff that I don't think of because I just don't think of it because it's just part of my background, my history, and stuff like that. And so you're always thinking, what is it that Herman has experienced that maybe you can draw out of me with the proper setup and the proper questions? So keep it up, Grasshopper.
Yeah, I mean, every week, if I really thought about it, there is always some topical, something that comes out of the political realm, but yes, that you can turn into business and success. And I
Right.
think that was great because I typed out, all the bits that you just said about stepping down. So that was a great segment.
Okay, thank you. And it's always refreshing when it's non-political. Concluding thoughts. That's what I'm preparing for now, y'all. I got about another 5 minutes. I got to have my concluding thoughts.
Did you get my email?
Yes, I did. And he wants me to put a promo in rotation that I erased.
Oh, the master thing.
But I text messaged it to Lisa, and I think I can get it to the text message.
Oh, clutch.
There it is.
He always has backups to backups or whatever.
That
Always does.
That surprised even me.
The Republican plan to cut health care would make America sick again. Make America sick again? What would be an appropriate acronym for that? MASSA. No, no. You see, folks, the Democrats continue to be doing MASSA for health care.
Master Schumer wants y'all to depend upon government health care. I can't believe he walked right into that. Walked right into it.
I can't believe I had that.
Now,
Monday the 30th.
there's another Trump announcement, folks, that we hadn't touched on, but I will in the short segment. The guy to head up the VA. Now, this one I have questions about. He's taking somebody from within the VA and putting them in charge of the VA. Don't know about that one. Maybe he knows something we don't know about this individual.
Oh, about 20 seconds.
All right.
Anytime.
Welcome back to the Herman Cain Show. Thank you for joining us. The big news that's probably going to be topical the rest of the week. More analysis, paralysis of Donald Trump's first press conference yesterday. I think he handled it beautifully, quite honestly. And the message is quite simply, by watching that press conference, there's a new sheriff in town. And the media may as well get used to it. Donald Trump is not going to kowtow to the media. He wants to be fair with them, but he also wants them to be fair with him. And things have already popped up that shows that, one, not all of them have been fair in reporting on him or his family or members of his team that he's putting together. And so he just, throw them under the bus. Secondly, they hate the fact that he's still using Twitter. Why? Because he immediately has access to 18.6 million folk. They don't like that because they don't get an opportunity to filter it. The other big story you're going to hear a lot about are the confirmations, and several of them are going on simultaneously. Keep in mind, no one can be officially confirmed until after January 20th, after Donald Trump is sworn in and he officially nominates them. The United States Senate is the part of Congress that must confirm or deny a nominee. And since the Republicans have a 2-vote majority in the Senate, and it's going to be based upon simple majority, they have the possibility of confirming all of Trump's nominations. And they're doing a lot of background work as part of all of that. And so some of the ones that are under the spotlight, Jeff Sessions for Attorney General, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. He's currently going through a bunch of committees. Then you've got Dr. Ben Carson for Health and Human Services. No, Housing and Urban Development. Yes, thanks, Shani B. And then coming up also soon is Mike Pompeo. He's going to be heading up one of the intelligence groups. And then Representative Tom Price can't be too far behind. We're looking forward to it, folks. And remember, we're going to tell you the truth and give you the facts on the Herman Cain Show and at HermanCain.com. I'm your host, Herman Cain. Well, thank you all for joining us today for our live streaming of the Herman Cain Show. Oh, yeah, we'll be doing it again tomorrow. Please join us. And tell all of your friends about it. And remember, you've got multiple options to stay connected to the Herman Cain Show. You go to hermancain.com. You can listen to the show live on your radio. You can listen to the show live on your computer. Or you can listen to the show live on your cell phone. Or you can watch it live stream. The choice is yours, giving you the maximum digital opportunity. MDO. Write that down, Shana B. Thank you. I'm Herman Cain.